Welcome. Thank you so much for joining me for Relax and Renew Yoga. I'm so happy you're able to find a space at home to do this practice to help unwind from your day, release any stress or tension that can get built up in your body and also in your mind. So it's a really good way to go into the rest of the evening so that you can get a better night's sleep. So we don't want to take that stuff with us. And yeah, hopefully in the morning we feel more rested and recharged as well. So if you'd like to join me, I will suggest that we start in a lying down position. So if you have anything you like to work with, if you like to put a cushion underneath your head, some people like that. If you want to put a cushion underneath or a roll underneath your legs. I like to use the eye bags as well over the eyes. It's very soothing. So just getting settled on your mat. I'll take just a little bit of time to get comfortable here. Feel your body releasing downward, sinking down. And you might find as you do this that your body might be a little stiff, especially of course in the back. So if you need to change your position, do anything a little bit different. Some people may find that it doesn't feel good to lie flat on their back or even with the knees bent on the harder surface. So you can always change your position at any point. Eventually your back and your spine feels it really appreciates this time that we spend lying down. It really helps to create a better alignment for your whole back here. But if you're really stiff and there could be some tenderness, then you just want to make sure you support yourself. Another way is to put something underneath your hips. Some people like that. Just a nice cushion underneath the hips. You might find relief with that. But just take a few moments to support your body. Okay, so taking care of yourself. This is self-care. Everything that we do here is all about self-care. And in yoga, we train our mind to stay centered, grounded, connected to our bodies. We train it by, it's not a forceful training, it's a gentle training to just keep coming back to your breath. Anytime that you find your mind takes you off in a different direction, bring yourself back to the sensation of your body and the experience of your breath flowing through. So we're going to focus on that now. And if you can help your breath slow down a little bit on the inhale and the exhale, if you can find a deeper, slower breath in and a longer breath out, that will help you to relax, release, come into the moment. So we're just going to continue to focus on the breath. As you inhale, you can feel, I'm keeping my hands on around my belly, just to feel my body move with my breath. So my belly rises. I pause just for a moment at the top of the inhalation. And then sometimes, especially at the beginning of my practice to release deeper, I'll breathe out through the mouth a few times, making a nice soft sighing sound. If you'd like to try that now, Take a slow, deep breath in. Pause and hold your breath. It's comfortable. We're not like overdoing it. We're not forcing. And then on your exhalation, breathe out through your mouth. And feel what happens as you exhale. You might notice some areas that were tense are now starting to release a little bit. We'll do that a couple more times. You can also focus on the breath in a different part of your body. Like you're like, oh, I'm going to breathe in, and this is going to be to help release my lower back, right? Focusing on your breath in your lower back. Pause and hold, and then go, release. So this helps to calm the monkey mind that we all have. It's simple, but extremely powerful and effective. It's, yeah, just this. The breath is the link between your body and your mind, and it's the link to the present moment. It anchors us here, and we'll continue throughout the rest of our practice to keep coming back to the breath. You don't have to breathe like big and deep every time. It's just, help maintain a nice, slow, steady pace. There's a little bit of control on the breath, not the whole time, but keep coming back to this. With your next breath in, if you want to just turn your head gently to one side. And then as you exhale, you can turn your head to the other side. And just flow a few more times back and forth. Just a very simple movement, coordinating your movement with your breath as you turn your head one way, inhaling, as you turn your head the other way, exhaling. And this time we'll come back to center. And we'll do some breath to movement with the arms. So as you inhale, start to reach your arms up towards the ceiling and over. And extend out your arms, reaching over your head. We can keep breathing here. And on your next exhalation, slowly release your arms back down to your side. Continue to flow now. Take your arms up on the inhale. Take your arms down on the exhale. And just do this a few more times. You decide how far you bring your arms over your head. You might not go to the floor, and that's okay. It's nice as you lift your arms up and over you, and you're also pulling up a little bit so you can feel that extension. You can feel your shoulders opening. You can feel your upper back stretching. It feels really nice. And we're going to do something a little bit different this time. As you inhale, you're lifting your arms up. And as you exhale, I'd like you to bring your arms into a position. They're still raised over your head, but in a position where you can let go of your arms completely so they can actually sink fully down to the floor. But they're still in a bit of a raised position. You might bend your elbows, right? Just feel this for the next few breaths. And with your knees bent and your feet on the floor, let's start to rock a little bit from side to side with the legs. So moving legs one side and then shifting to the other. And try to move in a slow rocking motion. Just from side to side, again, as far as you'd like to go with your legs. I'm on the little bit of a cushion. I just wanted to explore how that felt. If you're on a cushion underneath your hips there, you can stay on it if it feels good, or you can remove that cushion. You can release your arms a little bit more, but keep them, we call this the cactus arm shape. Elbows are bent, hands over your head, on the floor behind your head. And just keep moving. You can now incorporate moving your head with this, turning your head in the opposite direction of your legs. Inhaling back to center, exhaling other side. And I encourage people to, you don't need to be following exactly what I'm doing, of course. I encourage you to do what feels good. And if you get a sense of, I'd like to try a slightly different movement, then please do that. Okay, so releasing that, I'm going to let my arms slide back down to bring my feet off the floor and bring my knees in towards the chest. So if you'd like to try that, we'll do knees to chest. This is a lovely way to release tension in the lower back. It's a lovely way to loosen up and warm up the hips. And it really helps our digestion. And again, I like to do a little bit of breath to movement. As I inhale, I bring my knees slightly away from my chest. And then as I exhale, I bring them back in. So you can try that. Again, you're doing it. You can do it on your own time in whatever way suits you. Maybe you like to have your knees a little bit wider apart. And then from this position, if you want to keep your right knee in towards the chest and just begin to straighten and lengthen out through your left leg, bring it along the mat. And you can keep your left foot aligned here by keeping your toes pointing up and gently pulling out through your heel on your left side, your extended leg side. On the right side, roll through your ankle a few times. This really helps release a lot of strain and tension in our ankle and foot. Especially if you were on your feet a lot, or even if you weren't, if you're sitting a bit, these areas, the lower body, especially the feet, ankles, and calves, can swell up, and this really helps to relieve swelling. Even better is just like holding onto the back of your leg for swelling and just raising your leg up a little bit. And then you can bend your knee in and then straighten your leg up a little bit. And we're not doing this to like go into a really deep stretch in the leg, but we're just finding a bit of movement and a bit of extension through your leg as you lift through your heel when you straighten, and bend the knee again too. But raising our legs, we're going to do maybe that at the end of the class too, where we're in a position that inverts the legs. Very, very relaxing and calming. Let's hold the knee in for just another breath or two. And then we're going to begin to lower the foot down on the right side to the floor. Keep that knee bent, and we're just going to reach out with the right arm and you might want to bring your right foot to your left leg and come into a twist. So we're twisting to the left side. Or you can bend both knees and let both legs drop over to the left side. It's up to you. You can try with a straight leg. The left leg is straight, right foot resting on your left leg. Or if that's not comfortable, you can bend both knees and just be in that position for a few breaths. Try to keep the right shoulder down. And there's a little bit of a stretch here as you're opening that right arm out to the side. And then you can slowly come back to center. We're going to reposition, bend the knees with both feet on the floor, push the feet down to lift the hips up and just roll back down onto your lower back. Bring both knees in towards your chest. And then just holding onto your left leg, we're going to extend out through the right side. So pull out through your right leg. It's resting on your mat there. Toes pointing up and center of the heel on your mat. And on the left side, you can roll through your ankle. And just try to come back to your breath. Try to come back to your breath. Again and again and again. Okay. Let's slide the hands behind that leg and just start to straighten a little bit. You don't have to straighten all the way. And then bend your knee in. And then straighten the leg, heel pointing up towards the ceiling. And then bend your knee in and just alternate a few times. You can inhale, bend your knee, exhale, straighten your leg up. And then this time you can bring the knee in towards the chest. And we're going to move into our twist. So we're going to let our legs drop over to the right. We'll extend out through the left arm. So I'm going to bring my right hand onto the outside of this left knee. And again, if you'd like to, you can bend both legs. It really doesn't matter. It's not about having to, challenge our body at this time. We're not doing that. We're simply just working with our body to find what places we can help to release tension from and tightness, and how we can facilitate relaxation through also working with your breath, like deepening your breath. At any point, you can breathe out through your mouth and let go a little bit more. And just be really into how this feels in your body. Like notice in all different places, not just through your legs, but also through your hips and lower back, right through your back, up to your shoulders, through your left arm. And take one more breath here. And then we'll slowly come back to center. Bring the left knee in towards the chest again, and then bring the right leg in, bring the right knee in. This time, rock a little bit from side to side on your back. So just a nice massage for your back, but also for your internal organs through your back. We access the kidneys here, we access the adrenal glands. And then you can slowly release. Let your feet come back down to the floor. Feel your back loose. Feel maybe it's a little bit different. Now you might notice that your back feels a little bit looser, more relaxed, more comfortable here on your mat. And from this position, I'm gonna bring you off your back. So if you'd like to roll over onto your side, just take a few breaths here. We're not gonna rush. It's important in the evening to slow things down, and slowing our movements down, slowing our breath down will help, again, will really help calm the mind and get it ready to transition to sleep. So let's move into a tabletop position now. And I know for some people, there can be some issues in the wrist. So I'm just going to recommend, if you do experience any pain or tension in your wrist when you're here, you can just come, maybe this will help to make fists. I also like to focus on, when you're coming down into this position, where you're putting your weight in your hands. And I find that it works so much better to have a little bit more weight on the little finger side. So when you come down, there's actually the center of my palm is raised a little bit off the mat, a little bit like a cupping, and then my fingers are spread. I'm going to line up my knees. Actually, I'm going to slide my knees a little bit further back, a little bit wider than hip distance, and just start to roll through your hips here. This is a really nice way to loosen up through the hips and the lower back. And even up through the back to the shoulders too. You can feel that when you're moving your hips back. And we'll go in the opposite direction a few times. This time, if you want to circle your hips around, but then pause when your hips are positioned towards one side and a little bit sinking down towards that foot. And then come forward and roll your hips to the other side and lower them a little bit more towards your mat there. And then come back to center. And this time just go straight back with your hips. And you might slide your arms forward until you can rest your head down. And notice that I'm not quite in the child's pose. That's the one where your hips are sinking right down towards your feet. I'm more like in a puppy. I'm on my elbows. My head is down. My hips are raised in line with my knees. And this is really nice to loosen up the back and the upper arms and shoulders. Okay, so you can hold that for one more breath. And inhale, bring your head forward, and then exhale and go back one more time. You might pull back a little bit more actively this time with your hips. You can feel that stretch a little bit more in your upper arms and shoulders. And then we'll come back to center. This time, sliding your knees underneath your hips and coming up onto your hands. We'll look forward, and then we'll slowly bring the head down and look in towards your belly. This is called the cat-cow. And we'll do this with the breath. As you exhale, you're lifting your belly, arching your spine. As you inhale, you're looking forward. And just continue to flow here. Do that for 3 more breaths. And this time, as you inhale, come back to more of a tabletop position. And we'll bring the right arm out to the side. Just reach it straight out, parallel to the floor. And then we're going to slide it underneath our chest, palm facing up, but keep sliding until you are all the way over to the left side as far as you can, you'll start to come down onto that shoulder, onto the right shoulder and the right side of your head, with your arm reaching straight out to the left side along the floor, palm facing up. And you can hold that there for a few more breaths. And on your next breath in, slowly rise back up. And we'll do the same with the other side. You'll bring your arm out to the side and then slide through, thread the needle pose to the other side, coming down when you can onto your shoulder and onto the side of your head, resting here. It's a lovely way to open through across the back, the upper back. And it tends to get really tight there across your shoulders. So you might notice this. You can just move your hips slightly. Whatever direction your arm is going, you move your hips the other way slightly, so sometimes the hips go with this, and that just helps to realign and center your hips. Okay, and then you can press into your right hand to come back up. One more arch of your spine. We'll, from there, walk the hands in and come up slowly into a kneeling position. And I'm just gonna come sideways on my mat because we're gonna do a pose that just requires us to open up our legs sideways. So we'll take the left leg out to the side. Another little thing here that we can do to just make everything way more comfortable is if you find it too hard on your knees to be on the mat here, you can always roll your mats or put a little cushion or towel underneath it. You can bring your right arm straight up and find that extension right through that side of your body. And come over a little bit. It's a lovely way to open up the side and really helps with the back. Finding space there. You might even sense this down into your hip. Hold for a couple more breaths. Part of this practice is seeing if you can stay, it's not a competition. It's not like if you can't, you're not doing it, but it's trying to keep your attention on the here and now, on what you are feeling and experiencing and how the breath is flowing, how it's coming in and out of your body, and how you can just help it a little bit. So we'll release that side. You can bring your leg out of that position, and we'll bring the other foot out. And from this position, you might even feel that stretch right through your inner thigh down to your leg. It's a nice stretch there. Bringing your opposite arm up and over. And I'm pulling up and out until I can feel that lengthening right through. This is wonderful because we tend to get scrunched in our body, especially if we do sit, and everything kind of compresses. So this will open things up, allows for a healthier, more aligned spine, opens the ribs, helps facilitate deeper, natural deeper breaths by opening the ribs like this. So all these good things that we don't even realize is going on happens in every pose. I just like to sometimes highlight them because sometimes we're just focusing on, I'm so stiff and tight. Don't worry, especially if you've been away from this practice or for a little bit. Just be really gentle and kind to yourself as you come back. And just remember, it's all about taking time for you, for self-care, for 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 being in that, experience of your body, the breath. That'll calm the mind, because normally a lot of our energy is just up here. As we center ourselves, we're bringing the energy back into our body and down. So let's come off the knees. And I'm going to slowly guide you up to a standing position. And if you like, I like to transition and hold a bit of a squat before I transition, but for some that might not be suitable. So I'll encourage you to come up however you need to. I just like to work on the squat here. Hold that for a few breaths to help open the hips, open the pelvis, open the knees, right down to the feet, and release the lower back. So, okay, let's come on to your feet. So as soon as I do that, I make sure, I want my feet to be aligned. So I point my toes forward, and that will help to create an even openness all the way up through all the joints and center the bones through your legs. Let's bend and straighten the legs a few times. And this is an exercise to, again, it's a grounding exercise to help bring us into our body and down into the roots of our body through the legs and the feet. Connecting to the earth energy a little bit better as we do that. I like to do this movement inhaling as I bend. And I'm just bending a little bit. It's hard for you to see that. And as I exhale, I'm straightening, but I'm also pushing down with my feet towards the earth. It's just it's a bioenergetic exercise, grounding exercise to open up the energy that flows through the legs and feet. Okay, you might even feel slight vibration in the legs. That's a good sign that you're opening up the channels to receive and release more energy through. Let's bring the hands together and stand in mountain for a few breaths. Focus on the feeling of your breath. Let's place our hands on the sides, thumbs. Try to get your thumbs on the back of your body if you can, and fingers on the front, but don't worry if that's not possible or comfortable. And now as you breathe, feel the breath on the inhale expanding your ribs. You can actually feel them with your hands, right? And then as you exhale, feel the ribs releasing. If you've got your hands a little too low, you won't be able to feel this. So slide them up a little bit higher. And notice if the breath is coming in evenly from side to side, the right and left, or if it seems to be more on one side. Try to encourage the opening on both sides to optimize your lung capacity, to strengthen your lungs. We'll take one more breath like that. Still feel rooted down through your legs and your feet, like you can feel them, right? Good, releasing that and letting go through the shoulders. Let's roll them out a few times. And then we'll move them in the opposite direction. A common area to feel a lot of tension is the upper body, the upper shoulders, across the back. So let's also shrug the shoulders if you like to lift them up towards your ears, and on your exhale, release. Do that a couple more times, lifting them up. And then on the exhale, release. One more time like that. Good, just wiggle out of that. Wiggle through your arms, your hands, even wiggle a little bit through your legs, shaking them out. Bring your hands to face forward, palms facing forward, and bringing the arms up in a nice big circle. And then as you exhale, you're going to release your arms back down. 2 more breaths like that. And we'll do 1 more breath, a mindful movement. So we're moving slowly with attention. We'll release that. And now we're just going to turn sideways or face the top of your mat. We'll bring 1 foot forward and 1 foot back. And we're not going to do anything too strenuous or straining. We're just going to do a little bit of a standing lunge, and I'm bending my front knee, keeping my back leg straight, making sure my toes on the front foot are facing forward and my knees are aligning with my toes. And just hold that for a few breaths. Holding that for a few breaths. I'm going to make sure my hips are kind of facing forward in alignment with my front leg. I don't like to sometimes bring the arms too much up because it's a little bit more energizing, but if you feel like you want to try, just for, evening, we want to calm things down, try it. It's not going to hurt. Bring your arms up. And then as you exhale, release your arms. We're going to straighten this front leg as much as we can and come over and just place your hands at the top of your thigh. And let's balance the weight between the legs. And so we're going to root down through both feet evenly here. And this is the beginning of the pyramid pose. And it's a nice stretch for that front leg, right? You can decide how far you come into it. Make sure you're bending right at the hip. And you're just folding over that leg, and you can rest there. Try to align your hips so they're centered. And then you can reach back with your arms and slowly come back up. We're going to switch to face sideways on your mat and just realign your feet so they're, just in the right position from side to side. Breathing up this time, or breathing in sometime. This time we're going to bring our arms straight up. And as you breathe out, we're going to release. Come into a wide-legged forward bend. Good. And you can hold this for a few more breaths. Rooting down through both feet. Letting go as much as you can with your upper body, letting your head go. And then bending your knees, planting your feet to bring yourself up again, reaching up with your arms. And then we're going to exhale and we're going to turn to face the other direction. And then so I'm just going to slide this back foot out a little bit more. So my feet are hip distance apart as I turn to face that edge of my mat, bending and straightening. Even sometimes I didn't do this on the other side, but when I'm doing this, to get a little bit more stretch, still with my front knee bent, I'll come up onto the ball of my back foot and then plant my heel a little bit. And that to be a really good stretch for the calves. And I need that today. I was sitting for a little bit more today. So I do find that my lower legs, calves are a little bit more achy, a little bit more swollen. Just with a few hours of sitting, I find that can happen. So just holding that for another breath. You can reach your arms up if you'd like to. And then as you exhale, we're going to straighten that front leg. We're going to come over, coming into the pyramid, and try to keep rooting down through that back leg. You can always have this front knee bent a little bit. And place your hands on that front leg. Just the beginning of the pyramid. And I'm just showing you kind of, because I'm assuming that maybe your legs are a little bit tighter, especially the hamstring. But if you want to, you can always fold a bit more, right? Some people can even come right down, right? With their hands, but there's no need to like force your body into that position if it's not ready for it. Okay, so rooting down to lift up. We're going to come sideways on the mat again, reaching the arms straight up. And coming back a little bit too with your arms. And then exhale, release. And reach back with your hands. And see if you can interlace them together. If not, it's okay. Might be just a little tighter in the shoulders tonight. You can do just a little movement back and forth. It's a little pulsating movement to loosen up the shoulders. You can also, this is a time where you can work with a belt. You can hold on to the belt instead of, if your hands won't come right together behind you. I'll just show you from the side. So I'm still wide with my feet in a wide position and I'm reaching through my arms. I like to come into a half forward bend here and pull the arms up a little bit more. But make sure you're taking care of your shoulders, that you're not pulling too much, especially on the front of your shoulders. So, and when you're done, you're done. You can come back to center. Just shake that a little bit. We might try that one more time. This time before we do it, let's bring the hands together in the front, reach up and roll the arms back. So we get a nice big wide circle. And then let's move them in the opposite direction. And bring them down in front. You're kind of reaching a little bit forward. And as you inhale up again, and back and down. This time, connect your hands together. See if it's a little easier to bring them together. Clasping your hands behind you, come over. Bend your knees, plant your feet, slowly rise back up. And release. See if that helped a little bit. Set my feet in. See if it helped a little bit with the upper back and shoulders. We're going to reach the arms straight out. It's funny when I look at myself. Usually one arm is higher than the other, but see if you can just even that out there and pull the arms outwards. So you can feel that opening, that stretch, and a little bit back too. And then pull your arms forward and bring your right arm on top of your left. And reach your hands behind you. This is the beginning of the eagle pose. So we'll see if we can bring the hands up with the right arm on top of the left arm. Okay, do the best that you can here. Don't worry if it's not perfect like that. I'm not perfect. Don't worry if your alignment doesn't match mine. I'm definitely not in a perfect pose. I never want to say that. There's no such thing because every body is different. And the perfect pose is actually just the one that is right for your body, right? And it doesn't look like my posture and it doesn't look like anybody else's, but it's giving you a sense of like, this feels right. This feels good. And I'm really getting into somewhere in my body that, like right now I bend my knees and I sink my hips down a little bit in the eagle. And then I'm like, that stretch in the shoulders and the upper back just feels wonderful. And you slowly release. Okay. And then you bring your arms out again. Opening them out so they're lifted, but they're also opening sideways and pulling outwards to feel the space I'm creating in my shoulders. to stretch my arms, and I'll this time the left arm over top. Feeling into the upper back. And when you're ready, you can wind your arms around each other and keep the left arm over top. And if you can, bring the palms together. But again, don't worry. I like to come, this is almost the eagle pose. I'm not going to overwhelm anybody too much right now with the full one. And then you plant down through your feet to rise up, releasing your arms and just shaking that out. And seeing if there's any difference now with that. It's really nice to feel into your body after the pose to see, what happened there? It's good to lift up straight through the center of your throat, neck, and lengthen there. Placing your hands on the back of your head, stepping your feet a little bit wider apart. And we're just going to take our head in a circling motion, and our arms too. But there we go. We'll do that a few more times. And then we'll move in the opposite direction. Good. And then we'll just explore tipping over to one side a little bit more. And then the other side. And coming back to center. Keeping your hands together, let's lift the palms straight up towards the ceiling. And as you exhale, slowly come over into a standing forward bend. So folding at your hips, letting your arms sink down. You can let go of your hands. Some people like to cross their arms here, fold at the elbows, and just hang. If you're close to a wall, you can try the wall hang. I like to just, because the wall's right here, I can just slide back with my feet away from the wall, at least a foot, foot and a half, and my hips resting into the wall. It's a wonderful release. Okay, from your forward bend, just start to slide, walk your hands out to come down onto your knees, and then to flip your feet to the side and come into a seated position. I'm just going to show you from the sideways version so you can see what I'm doing. Again, you might not have anything tonight. Don't worry if you don't have a prop beside you, but I'll just show you in case you do. What you can do here. I'm coming into the, I think you can see me there. I'm going to work on maybe having a lighter pants or lighter matte color so you can kind of see my legs a bit better. But I'm doing the butterfly pose, and my feet are together and my knees wide apart here. And I'm just trying to sit up nice and tall. Sometimes that's tricky because of any tightness in the hips. So you can always sit on a little something. That'll help lift you up and out of your hips and align your pelvis a little bit more. Sit up nice and tall. You can even, before we come forward, we're going to come forward, but bring your hands behind you. Fingertips to the floor. You decide how far back you want to kind of rest on your arms, lifting your chest. It's really nice. And then releasing that, and we're going to come forward. And you can slide your feet out a little bit more if you'd like to. This is a time where I like to use the prop because it's very, very restorative. And I'm not worried about like
doing a big stretch here. I am just letting my body become more and more relaxed and released into this position. So I'm getting calmer and calmer the more relaxed my body is. And supporting the head really helps calm the mind and relax the upper body. And this is where I might hold the pose just a little bit longer when I can settle into a position of relaxation. But you can come out whenever you're ready. You know you're in a good place when you feel like you could stay forever. You can slowly start to rise up. And we can also do that just stretching the legs out to the side a bit more and pulling up through the feet. And we could do a similar thing. Notice I'm not coming over very much at all. And trying to keep the feet centered, the toes pointing up, the knees pointed up. And then you can slowly come back to center. This time we'll bring both legs forward. Yeah, I'm going to show you with the bolster again. If you don't have a bolster, again, that's totally fine. You can improvise by using, you can roll up a blanket, a nice big fluffy cozy blanket, like a comforter. And you can, yeah, put something underneath your legs if you'd like. And then just, again, rest. And if I had something else to show you, just how to work with props. And I know you might not have anything like this at home right now, so don't worry about it. But it's also really nice to support your head like we were doing. It might take a little bit to figure out what works, the height of your props, but I only need two. I just need one here. I like to do this kind of pose in bed because usually you have access to more pillows and blankets and you can really get yourself comfy, but keeping the knees bent is really helpful. You can widen your legs apart as much as you need to for this, of course, too. But it's really nice because you'll notice maybe if you can get a little bit comfortable here. I'm just going to reach my hands now towards my feet. If you can get comfy into a place here, again, just like those other poses we've been doing where we've been coming forward, the last couple, it activates it's the parasympathetic, right? Yeah, it activates the parasympathetic nervous system to go into that relaxation mode. That's oftentimes our nervous system could be on the other side of things where when we feel any kind of stress or, you know, we're in a hurried mode, we're finding it hard to get everything done. That's the other side of things where our body naturally kicks in different hormones to get the job done. This is more like, oh, now, especially in forward bends, we're activating our calming responses. And you might notice that things go quieter in your mind. So from this pose, It's nice to just come down onto your back. And you can do that really slowly. Just make sure. We might do a different pose before we're fully done. So, but if you can grab anything you need for Shavasana, just so you don't have to reach for it later. Resting on your back. Kind of take the prop and just find a comfortable spot for positioning my legs on it. And just resting here for a few breaths. I'm feeling my breath flow in and out like a wave moving through. Try to focus on the breath flowing down and feeling it more like it's filling up your belly, even though we know it's physically not, but we call it the belly breath, right? So the belly moves on the inhale, rises up, and it releases on the exhale. And from here, I'm going to bend my knees, and I'd like to do one more pose before we do what's called Shavasana. And today we're going to do Shavasana in maybe a different position. But let's bring the left foot to the floor, left knee bent. Slide your right ankle onto the front of your left thigh here. And you can gently press your right hand into your right leg. You might feel a little bit more of an opening doing that. And then if it feels good, slide your hands to grab behind your left knee. With this right arm, you go right between your legs and clasp your left hand behind your left knee. And just bring those legs in a little bit. If that's a little bit tricky and you want to just do that first pose position again, feel free if you want to put your foot on something. Again, find what works for your body. We'll hold this for a few more breaths. I like to sometimes do a little rocking from side to side. And then you can slowly release the left foot. With this right leg, you don't have to have a belt. You can simply put your hands behind your leg here. If you do have access to a belt, you can place it on this right foot. And again, just a little bend and a straighten at the knee, holding onto the ends of the belt, pushing up as you straighten. Inhaling as you bend, exhaling as you straighten. And then just hold the position with your belt around your foot, straightening your leg, or just holding onto the leg behind the thigh there. That works too, but try to lift your heel up. What we get with the belt is we can pull a little bit more on the ends of the belt. The belt is across the ball of the foot, just below the toes, and the heel can lift up a little bit more. But soften at the knee, don't hyperextend it. It's about the bent. The leg is about 90 degrees bent. or straight, sorry. The leg is about 90 degrees straight. It's not straight all the way as far as you can go. You're just leaving a little, that opening in the knee. And we're going to do more of those, these stretches here another time, but for now, we'll just let the belt go off and bring that leg back down. Then you can bring your left knee in and then slide that left ankle onto the front of your right thigh. Slide your left hand to your left leg and just gently press. And you could slide your hands now behind your right knee and bring your legs in towards your chest. Again, if you'd rather support, find support for that right foot, you can rest it on something. I used to do this one, pretend my foot is, right foot is kind of near a couch. And I just rest my leg on a couch. Or a chair works too. Another really good stretch to do before bed, so that it can relieve a lot of hip pain and sciatic pain. This is a really good, we used to just call it the sciatic stretch because it's so good at opening up those muscles that can press on the sciatic nerve. So it's a really good one for the hips, for the back of the hips. Keep breathing here. A slow, steady inhale and a slow, steady exhale. And then I'll release the right foot. And I'm going to use the belt, but you can just use your hands if you like. Belt just across the ball of your foot, bending and straightening. And then we'll hold the position. And notice I'm just going straight up with my leg. I want to find how I can open right through my entire leg. If I was to bring my leg right over my head, I could experience a really good stretch of my hamstring, but that's not what I'm going for right now. I want to feel like I'm evenly opening right through my entire leg and opening from the hip as I push up with my heel. Pull on the ends of the belt if you're working with one. And then you can slowly release and let that belt come off, releasing your leg. Again, we'll take the arms out to the side and with the knees bent, just rock the legs back and forth. And feel that moving across your back. The weight is shifting from one side of your back to the other through your lower back there. We'll come back to center. The legs, reach the arms over your head. This time you can connect your hands together. Maybe you're just holding onto your thumbs. Thumbs grip each other, or maybe, yeah, wherever. And reach through your arms, feeling that stretch as well in your back. Let's bring the arms up together and move the arms towards the knees. And then bringing them up again. Good. And release the arms. Rock the head from side to side. You can also do a little shift with your hips and pelvis where you're pushing your feet down. And you might notice that pulls your belly in towards your spine a little bit more. Your belly comes in. And then just relax the feet and notice how that might lift your belly. Push your feet down into the floor actively, rocking your pelvis in one direction, and then soften and release and let the belly soften too. As you exhale, push the feet down, belly comes in. As you inhale, soften the pressure of your feet into the mat and let the belly expand and open. Let's do that a couple more times. And then this time, as you begin to exhale, press your feet down into the mat. Belly comes in, slowly roll up your spine. So you're lifting your hips. And then you roll back down. We'll do that 2 more times with breath. This is the bridge pose. And we use our legs and our feet to lift. And come up towards the shoulders. And then we release back down. Okay, let's do that 1 more breath. At the end of this exhalation, hug your knees in towards your chest. Rocking and rolling just for a second. And now the next pose is basically, we're going to move towards Shavasana. So our final relaxation, our final position here tonight. And I don't know exactly where you're at. If you have access to a wall close by, or even a chair, if you don't have a free space on the wall, you can also do this with a chair. So, and sorry, I don't have a chair to show you, but just imagine that a chair, the seat is facing me, and I'm resting my lower legs and feet on the seat of the chair. So I pull the chair in until it's, I can line up my legs into kind of like a right angle or wherever it's comfortable, but resting your legs on a chair or couch or wherever you're at. Now, if you've got a wall and you want to try this pose that I'm talking about here, it's legs up the wall. It's a extremely relaxing. I'm just going to roll over, and then it's an extremely wonderful pose. It's one of my favorite relaxation poses that I often do in the middle of the night if I do have trouble sleeping a bit. I won't even get out of bed. I'll just move my body so that I'm doing this at the head of the bed. And I like to use a little bit of support underneath the hips, but this bolster is sometimes a bit much for this one, but you can try it. I'll just show you how to get into, if you're wanting to watch how to get into it. This is legs up the wall. You're moving your hips towards the wall as much as you can. You might not be completely at the wall, and that's okay. I might be a little bit off my mat. And it might take a few times getting used to coming up the wall like this. Don't worry, I've been doing this for a long time. And I didn't even do it that smoothly. But yeah, it's wonderful. So my hips are a little bit away from the wall. That's okay. You don't have to be right against the wall. I'm going to bend my knees, and I'm just going to put a little cushion or something, or maybe a block or two in a comfortable spot at the base of my spine, just so I invert my hips a little bit more, and I reap more of the benefits of that inversion of now letting the energies just sort of settle. And this is wonderful at the end of the day to relieve tired, achy legs, swollen legs and feet. Wonderful if you've been on your feet a lot or even just at a desk or sitting down a lot too. It's good. It really helps to deeply restore our energy. The ancient yogis called it the fountain of youth pose. So you want to make sure you're comfortable here. If you're not comfortable like this, again, to get used to it, the legs on the chair version is really nice. And I find it just settles me, but everybody's a little different. But I'd just like you to try that. If not right now, sometime in the next few days. Try it right before bed. Try it in the middle of the night if you can't sleep. You can kind of feel how the energy's changing, how the blood flow is changing. Therefore, we're stimulating that circulation through the legs and feet. And that's why it's so good for the circulation. It's good for the heart. It's good for blood flow. It's good for the brain. We just want to make sure we're relaxed. And if you're like me, it might start to make you feel really sleepy. So it helps to stimulate those wonderful hormones, the endorphins, to flow in the body, which the ones that we really want to be flowing at nighttime. It's similar to the shoulder stand because it's putting a little bit more weight in the upper body, especially the inversion with the block underneath the hips. And it stimulates the glands in the head to secrete. For example, one is melatonin. So I think it's melatonin that really helps, is encouraged in this position naturally. How long do you hold it? Well, I try to hold this position for at least a few minutes. Usually it's about 5 minutes that I'm holding it. But again, there's no absolute way to do it. And I'm just flowing with my breath. This is all that I need right now, is to be here focusing on my breath. If the mind is still active, I can, in this more aware state, I can recognize anything that I need to, any kind of shift that my thinking might need. I might say an affirmation at the end. Especially if I notice that I've been, feeling a certain way that's not been the best, I might go, okay, well, there's something going on with my thought patterns. So I'll see if I can help myself focus on something a bit more loving and positive. For example, I am enough. Or what I do is enough. And then when we're ready to come out of that, just bend your knees in towards your chest. Right? Some people like to do the butterfly after too. That's always nice. But for now, I'll just roll over onto the side. I really encourage you to stay on your side when you're ready to come out. Don't rush up because it's going to take a little bit to get your blood flow circulating the way it normally does. So we'll just take a few moments here. And then I will come up slowly, using my arms to support me into a seated position. One other really nice thing about doing yoga at home like this is that you can decide to come out or, do whatever feels right at any point. You can, if you need to, if you find you're really sleepy and wanting to go to bed a little bit, you can always end sooner than we do, or you could stay longer. That's another nice luxury of being at home. And some people like to meditate after. Sometimes it's trickier to meditate after being really relaxed. You want to probably just go to bed, but just trying to keep that that speed of not speed, but the opposite of speed, just slowing it down for the rest of the evening as much as you can. I try to end my yoga practice, especially at night or especially before bed. Even when I don't do yoga right before bed, I like to end with gratitude. So it's just a time to be going over the things in our lives that we can take time to appreciate more, to notice more about all the good things that we do have. And yeah, you're welcome to join me in this practice of being grateful. And it can be just a general cultivation of gratitude in all directions, or you can name specific things. Don't forget to be grateful for those people closest to you that we sometimes take for granted. I know I do too. So it can really help improve your relationship. And don't forget to take time to honor yourself, to be thankful for this body, thankful for this day, this opportunity to be here learning from our experiences. Give yourself a pat on the back for doing something for yourself tonight for self-care.
So I'd like to thank you now. Thank you so much for joining me today. Namaste. And I hope you have a